All right. We're here with Lily and Alex from Fightmilk. How you guys doing?
Hello. Yeah, all good.
Hello,
good,
Aug. We're doing okay.
Excellent.
We've got to stop talking over each other, Alex, or it's going to be a long interview.
Happened last time, didn't it?
It did.
I mean, last time we had a conch to pass. This time we are on opposite sides of London, which doesn't make life easier. But
passing
we'll
the digital conch.
Why have they not set up like a conch like on Zoom?
Digital conch is a great phrase. It sounds really dirty.
Hey, thanks.
I don't know why.
Well, right in the digital conch.
Oh. Oh, sucks to your digital asthma.
Yeah, let's table the digital conch for now. Because we're going to talk about your new record.
Hey.
So tell me about writing and recording it, because this really doesn't sound like a band that's been affected in any way by a global pandemic. I mean, it rocks. It's great. And it's just like your trajectory just seems to be going up. So like when did this all happen? Because I imagine there were delays.
Thank you. It doesn't sound like it was that hampered by a global pandemic. That's because most of it was recorded before there was a global pandemic.
Okay.
Which helps. So, I mean, we started writing it before the first album even came out, I think. Lil, do you remember, were there one or two songs we had by the time the first record came out? No, you are frozen in silence.
I will go.
I know that we've been playing Cool Cool Girl for quite a long time, and that was actually one that our old bassist, who we don't speak of, wrote.
The Gold member fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, we just call him Gold. He won't use his real name. No. But Cool Cool Girl is a very old one, and If You Had a Sister, knocking around for quite a long time as well.
That was the first one we did with Healy.
Oh, I can't remember. They all.
To
be honest,
I think
the last 2.5 years of writing and recording have been a complete blur, and I've lost all concept of linear time. But all I know is that some songs are older than others, and some are newer than others. But writing it, obviously, we had gotten. We assume a couple of songs written before Healy even joined the band. So this would be going back about 3 years. And we had planned to get cracking on the second album as soon as we could after the first one. But it feels like within maybe 3 or 4 months of Healy joining, everything just went wrong.
Not with the band. That was
great. The band was great, but everything else just went on fire. We obviously had the pandemic, we had Brexit happen, which, is still shafting us. And when it came to recording, we kind of had to sneak in as quick as we could in between intense national lockdowns, because we were in tier 4 for quite a while. So tier 4 is like the most hardcore lockdown that we do in the UK. It's
make it sound like a tradition.
I know. It basically is now.
We have Morris dancers, maypoles, and tier 4 in this country.
Exactly. But yeah, the entire album, I would say, was probably recorded over the space of, I want to say, about 6 to 8 days in total, with a period of about 6 months between each session. So it was a really disjointed, weird recording process that, we definitely wouldn't have chosen, but worked out quite well.
Kind of what we did for the first one anyway. It's just that we were recording as we were writing songs and then going in and recording them. Whereas with this, we were like, okay, we've got enough songs to do most of an album. We'll come back and finish the rest in like a couple of months once we've written the rest. And then, lockdown and tier 4 and pandemic and all that. So, and we just had to kind of put a pin in it for a while. I think we managed 2, maybe 3 band practices before the second time we went into the studio. Like, it was all very, like Lily said, it was very like trying to just sneak around in between weird, like, terrifying restrictions. And I think even in the
what were the last songs you did? Were there any written post-pandemic, or like, you know?
I think last 3 we had were Lucky Coin and Hey Annabelle. I think we wrote last January, and then Girls Don't Want to Have Fun was a weird one.
Girls Don't Want to Have Fun is actually quite an old song, but it's had about 5 different iterations because we didn't know what to do with it. So I think initially it was like a kind of jaunty, upbeat, acoustic, folky thing, which just was awful. And then
we did that when Adam was still in the band, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. And then I think we were like, okay, no, let's make it really heavy, and that didn't work either. And then we kind of went, okay, let's just turn it into a Carly Rae Jepsen song, and that didn't work. So
and we had the Avril Lavigne ballad version.
Yeah,
and that stuck for a bit.
I'm shocked the Carly Rae Jepsen version of anything wouldn't work.
Well, I was too, but I really thought that was going to be the one.
I don't even remember that version.
Oh, I think we tried to do like a Robin dance drum thing.
Do you remember? Yes, okay.
And it turned out it just needed like, we just needed to sit on it for like a year, and then it kind of presented itself to us.
I don't think it's weird because the lyrics didn't change. It was really just trying to work out what to do musically. And I don't think I think it's the first time we've ever labored that long on a song. But I don't think we ever got like bored of it or annoyed with it at any point, which is, again, strange and unlike us, because usually if something's not working, it's very much like, right, put that to one side, we'll come back to it later. Then we forget it exists because Lily's written another like 3 songs.
The electronic elements of the album are new. Was this like a conscious decision, or were they just naturally heading? I mean, I guess with this one, it was. I'd
say that a lot of the electronic elements came from really not wanting to repeat the first album, trying to get people to stop comparing us to Britpop.
How's that been working out for us, Lil? Remind me.
Atrociously. But yeah, I think we were conscious that we were in danger of just being like a
revivalists or whatever.
Yeah, just like I don't really listen to that many guitar bands, or I certainly don't as much as I used to, and I've just kind of was a bit bored of going, okay, here's 4 chords on the guitar, and here's a little bridge that goes into a chorus, and then there will be an extra chord thrown in for effect. I was sort of thought there must be something else that we can do. So luckily Nick, the drummer, he's the drummer, is quite good at making little bleeps and bloops, and is the one of us who knows how like Logic works. So was he basically did all of the, or most of the little electronic-y sounding interludes on the album.
And everything else.
Well, so. The titles of the interludes, the Contender, Tender, Bartender. It was nice.
Yeah, thanks. Glad you like those.
What was the decision to put those in?
We wanted I don't know why we really wanted to do that just on principle. Like, you know what? It'd be really nice to have some interludes on this record, which is a really weird thing to say. Like, the sense that when you're putting an album together, you're not like, yeah, we need to write this kind of song and this kind of song. But when it's just sort of like, oh, let's have a little interstitial sort of bleepy thing that's based on one of the songs, like, that's an acceptable conscious decision to make. But it was very much like, yeah, I just think it'd be cool to have them. It gives it a sort of weird, it gives it a sense of there being like an overarching structure and theme that we had from like the word go, which really wasn't there. Sort of like the Dude's Rug, it just really ties the album together.
Yeah, I always really loved the idea of having an overture, but I'm not smart enough to know how to do that. or
which
just,
is why you pause up the first note of the overture on the
exactly
record.
Yeah,
and why we left it in.
And I love little melody motifs that kind of reappear later on. I'm trying to think what it is that does that a lot. Maybe it's War of the Worlds. It's just lots of I was listening to a lot of Jeff Wayne.
Not where
This
I
is
thought you
my
were going
Frog
with that.
Odyssey.
Jesus.
But like I listened to maybe I was having a weird time in listening to a lot of musicals or something, but just thought, oh, it's really nice how all of these little bits from other songs appear in these other little bits of songs, and which is an absolutely musically uneducated way of saying that. Like I quite like how they take you out of the album for a second and just kind of go, oh, let's just have a sit down in between big songs and catch your breath a minute and then go back in and have some more feelings. So I personally appreciate a pause when an album is on.
I think my main worry is that people are gonna like see that there's a title track on this and like really assume that it's sort of some kind of thesis statement for the whole record. And it's like, oh no, it's just like track 7, but it's just on a piano with some like synth noises.
Yeah, I want them to think that.
Parentheses though.
That's true, and lowercase. We've gone full like, full second album syndrome. There's
That's
bleeps,
how you
there's
know
gloops, there's interludes.
Yeah, this is kind of our folklore, isn't it? We've gone a bit cottagecore, and we've forgotten how to use capitals, and yeah, it's very wanky. I really like it. It is rock and roll.
Yeah.
So was there a specific sound you had in mind for it, the album as a whole? What struck me is that there were lots of little bits that reminded me, or I thought reminded me of something else, but I could not place them.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, and I think that's like a sign of great pop, that it is something very familiar, but at the same time not completely. But I was wondering if I'm just missing out on some very obvious references.
There's a playlist I've kept of like the songs that quote unquote inspired, really we just ripped off for the record. And I'm wondering whether or not I'm gonna like that's worth sharing with the world, or whether that's just going to invite a lot of legal action. I think that's the thing. We're all, I think collectively there's probably only about like 5 bands that all of Fightmilk agree on. So it's just a question of like who can get the stuff that they like through the door, like in an obvious way. And what ends up happening is that it's like when Mr. Burns goes to the doctor and the doctor tells him like, it's not that you're well, it's that every disease is trying to like cram itself through your immune system and they're all stuck in the door frame. And I think that's possibly what's happened with the record sounding like other things. It's just that it's all, Lily, you are shooting me the sort of
I'm enjoying this I'm enjoying this incredibly roundabout way of saying how many things we've stolen. Okay.
We've stolen a lot of things, but they all overlap each other, so you can't actually notice anything specifically. Basically.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I tend to obsess over like one album for about 2 months and then move on to something different. And I'm not very, like I said, I'm not very good at listening to music, but like Lucky Coin I wrote when I was listening to a lot of Bruce Springsteen. So I think that I just accidentally wrote something that I wanted to sound a bit like Born in the USA.
Then when you played me your early demo of Lucky Coin, for some reason my brain was like, oh, this is like a baggy song. Like, I reckon it'd be really cool if Nick does that kind of like baggy drum thing, which he kind of does, but cooler heads prevail. And like, there's some like wah guitar in there that I insisted on putting and things like that. So it's this weird, like, everything is just kind of pushing into each other influence-wise.
Yeah, it does feel a bit like we've all put an influence into the songs without telling anybody else in the band what they are, and the resulting soup just works somehow.
last time we spoke, you guys said there were only 3 bands you could all agree on, but now you have a new bass player, so you've added 2.
Yeah,
that's it.
I know Carly Rae Jepsen was one.
Mhm.
What were the others?
Yeah, she remains a constant.
Yeah.
Who are the right? Oh, who are the bands we can all agree on? I'm trying to remember now. Like, what are the things that when they come on in the, like, band or playlists or whatever, we're all
Robin.
like, yeah, Carly, Robin.
I'm gonna have to ask about Pulp because that's coming up later. Some questions I have.
We do all love Pulp. Pulp's
right.
probably in there.
I'm the lone contrary bastard who will just. I'm a Ride or Die We Love Life fan, and I like really alienated my like. I was talking about. I think my partner and I were talking about Pulp recently, and he was like, "What is your favorite Pulp record?" And I said, "Oh, it's We Love Life." And he was like, "I've never listened to that. I'm going to go on a walk and listen to your favorite Pulp album." And about 15 minutes into her walk, I just got a message from her that said, "What is this hippie shit?" And it was so upsetting.
It's a fair question.
It's a fair question, and the answer is the best fucking Pulp album, man. I'm sorry.
Lily, what's your favorite Pulp album, or what do you say is the best?
I like the one with all the singles on it.
I actually have to say the best of Pulp.
I would have to say the best of Pulp. No, I think my favorite is This Is Hardcore.
Wow. Okay.
I think that was the first one I got into after the one with all the singles on it. And I was like, yeah, now I've listened to something other than Common People. I'm a Pulp fan now. But yeah, This Is Hardcore is just an amazing album. It's still like, I don't even know how old it is. It must be about 20 years
23
old.
23 years. I believe. 98.
Jesus. But yeah, it's still just one of the scariest albums. It's so frightening to listen to and so far away from, you know, all the super synthy fun pop stuff that you're used to with Pulp. And
then it ends with Glory Days, which is, in my opinion, is one of the best songs ever written.
Exactly.
I love that song.
Yeah, it's a
like
great
a lot
album.
of terror, and then
a lot of terror, and then just, you know, having a sit down after a lot of rocking
that break
out.
You want of an album.
Exactly. Yeah, just a little tea break in between, you know, rock songs.
You said you tend to get obsessed with albums. What's your current obsession?
My current obsession is oh god, so it's the compilation between Pharoah Sanders and I'm going to find out exactly what it is.
Oh no,
I've forgotten the first part of the.
Oh, it's so good. Floating Points.
Floating Points.
I've been meaning to listen to that forever, but I know I want to find like the right time.
Yeah.
You know, when I can fully appreciate it.
It's so great.
I love Pharoah Sanders.
It's amazing. I mean, the Floating Points and Pharoah Sanders collaboration, and I'm an absolute, you know, I don't get jazz. I don't enjoy it. Whenever I hear it, I just, you know, there's something I missed. I wasn't in the meeting that day, but I think maybe it's just the I don't know. It just really knocks me out. It's so weirdly calming and ambient, and yet you've got this absolutely frantic sax over it, and yeah, then it turns into a movie soundtrack somehow, and it's just the most gorgeous thing to, you know. I do find that if I'm doing anything else while I'm listening to it, I have to stop. So that is slowing me down somewhat. But that's my current obsession.
It kind of makes it a really shit ambient record if you can't do something else while you're listening to it, though.
That is true. Yeah, just stand there. I'm just standing there dribbling. So.
My current obsession is Yoko Ono. Are you guys fans?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Any particular record or?
I've been really enjoying the Yes, I'm a Witch, the collaboration she did with like everybody remixing the tracks. The one with Cat Power is just so beautiful. I listened to it like 20 times in the past couple of days.
I need to get my copy out again. I remember buying it when it was really cheap from like closing down sale. But the only song I actually ever listened to off it, I think because I heard it on the radio once and I got really hung up on that, was the version of Toy Boat with Anoni, which is just so gorgeous, but I just never then went to the rest of the record. I need to check the Cat Power collab out.
Oh, it's great. I was also listening to Approximately Infinite Universe last weekend, and it ties in because do you know Death of Samantha, the song?
Yeah.
The song that? I'm a cool chick baby with your cool girl.
I didn't my mind, think of that.
If you guys are well, yeah, that was deliberate. You know. It all comes full circle.
Lily, have you noticed?
Sorry, I'll carry on.
Have you noticed any changes in your voice?
Yes, big time.
Yeah.
So I definitely for the first album, I was just relying a lot on how loud I could shout, and I think that comes from, you know, I don't have any training as a singer, and when I started a noisy punk band, I was like, right, okay, I need to be heard above drums and two guitars and bass. I need to be loud, and I've got to get my lyrics heard somehow as well. So if I can just shout the loudest and the longest, then that'll do. But that's not really sustainable, especially if you are, you know, if you don't look after your voice. And I did find that after lots and lots of gigs, I would, you know, wake up the next day and just be unable to speak. My voice would just be gone because I'd shout.
You had to do all of that while contending with terrible venue PA systems and unsympathetic soundmen.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, constantly going, oh, can I have more of myself in the monitor? And then just going, no, there's not
what you get and you'll like it.
Exactly. But certainly for this album, I think that just adjusting the songwriting a little bit and realizing that, you know, it's maybe less punky in a way. It's less shouty, this album, and there's a lot more that I have kind of realized I can do just by being quieter and, you know, trying different ways of singing. I eventually went and had a singing lesson. The one singing lesson that I've ever had, and it just changed everything. It was amazing. And, you know, the guy basically said, stop trying to sing and just, you know, try and have a conversation. Stop doing a singing voice when you're singing, because, you know, you're not Sarah Brightman, and frankly, thank God. No one would want to be. But yeah, I think certainly it's a lot stronger than it was. It's a lot more flexible. I can belt big notes and it doesn't hurt. I don't lose my voice anymore, but also it's really nice to have things like Girls Don't Want to Have Fun, or If You Had a Sister. But I can be a bit quieter and like sit in my lower register a little bit as well, where it's a lot more comfortable. So yeah.
It definitely seems much more expressive, and you're throwing in like inflections on certain lines.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad that. I'm glad you noticed that. It's
I was wondering if you had as well.
A 6-year process. So.
So let's go through the songs.
Cool.
Like all of them are so strong. What was it about Lucky Coin that this is the lead off track?
It's my favorite song on the album. And I think it is partly because it is such an absolute happy punch of an opening. You know, it's an enormous explosion, major chord, and everyone coming in at once. And you know, I've got a tiny little 2, 3, 4 in an homage to Bruce Springsteen as well. But also in terms of content, it's kind of it's really kind of about deciding one day that you know, not to overthink stuff anymore and to not be anxious anymore. And the whole of the first album is about, oh God, I'm a walking disaster, and I'm super anxious and everything's dreadful, everything's on fire. So I thought having a massive, you know, feeling more positive and everything's not great, but I'm going to tackle it head on anyway, is probably quite a nice and different way of starting the album, especially during a time when everything's terrible. So it's a little resistance in the face of a lot of bad stuff, I thought.
I think I remember when we were writing it, like, I think once we kind of finished putting it together, we did kind of look at each other and go, oh yeah, no, we've definitely, this is track one, isn't it? I also don't know what would have been track one otherwise. Like, I can't remember. So
that was banger number one. For sure.
Did they all have the names banger number until most of them were switched?
No, just banger number 4, because it's that song's been kicking around for years and we just have never ever been able to think of a title for it.
Like Untitled, No Namer, New Song.
Yeah.
It was new song even when we had newer songs than that.
Yeah.
It was one of those.
I think,
and then it was after we played a show in Leicester, I think, and like we were just hanging out. I think we'd splashed out for a hotel because we felt flush and it was near Christmas. So we were like having drinks in our one hotel room, and Keith was there. I think he was staying in a much nicer hotel over the road. And he we were like, Keith, we need your advice. And he was like, yeah, what is it? Like, what should we call the new one? He was like, number 4. I'm like, how did you just and
it's so obvious.
Why? Well, because it's a banger, and then that implies that there are 3 others, and people are going to ask you about it in interviews.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And
not my words, the words of Keith Top of the Pop.
Very wise man.
For sure. Without him.
Back to Lucky Coin. The line, it's like a Disneyland for your feelings. Right on. That definitely.
Hey, thanks.
You nearly left that out.
You said you didn't like it.
You said, oh no, we're having one of these again.
No.
You left it out because you were scared you were going to get sued.
No, I wasn't. I don't care.
It definitely happened, listeners.
Anyway, no, I really like It's Like Disneyland for Your Feelings. And it makes me wish there was a Disneyland for my feelings, frankly. I think a whole theme park dedicated to my ego would be brilliant. Lots of fun.
Yeah, let's go with this.
Sure.
For some reason, the first thing that came to my mind was that the Black Parade would have to somehow be involved.
Oh yeah,
that'd be incredible.
Yeah, actually, they could. I think all the little soldiers can just replace the animated things on It's a Small World. It's just going to have lots of little soldiers dressed in black marching up and down. But they'll still be singing. No, they'll still be doing It's a Small World. That's an unbeatable song.
Somehow a mashup with just the opening piano from Welcome to the Black Parade.
Exactly, yeah, or Blood. Yeah.
Blood would be a great ride.
Yeah.
This is very young Southpaw, but yeah, bands should have their own theme parks.
Well, thank you. Yeah, look at Dollywood. You know, look at the Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster. It's clearly a good idea.
Can we double back to Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster, please? Can you explain?
So in this place called Disneyland,
I'm familiar.
There's a roller coaster called the Rock and Roller Coaster, and the cars look like a big guitar.
Right.
So you sit on a big guitar and you go whizzing round a big roller coaster in the dark, and you get to the top of like a big climb, and then as you start to go over the edge, you have Steven Tyler in your ears going down, and then he goes zhoof. Anyway, it's the happiest place on earth.
I want to go to there, and we need to make this happen, possibly for a music video.
I promise we will.
I don't even like roller coasters, but I would go on that one just for the memories.
Out of duty as a rock and roller.
That
quite, yeah.
Say.
Have you been to Dollywood?
No, I'm desperate to. Have you? I
haven't, but I can't remember who, but I made plans with someone like within the last couple of weeks. I was like, we're going to meet at Dollywood next year and it's going to be awesome. I don't remember who I'm meeting there, but I am down no matter who it is.
Yeah.
Oh, is it one of those where you've remembered the time and the date? You don't remember who, so you're just going to show up and be surprised?
I wish. That would be amazing. That would be a great rom-com.
Oh, it would. What a meet cute.
Have you seen the pictures of Halloween at Dollywood?
No.
When we're done with this, you need to Google these. The pumpkin displays are absolutely amazing.
I might do this right now.
It does also complete. I have checked. Great Pumpkin Luminites.
Halloween Dollywood.
That's what I'm looking at.
Oh wow! Great Pumpkin Luminites. God, she's good.
Oh, that's spectacular.
Oh, I've never seen so many pumpkins.
Right?
Halloween, 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 Halloween.
You're fired.
I had a good run.
It's a good way to go out.
It's a good way to go out.
I feel like going out on a Dolly reference is something that you'd respect me enough for to want me to come back immediately, to be quite honest. You know, I got you in a bind here. Oh, look at the big spider pumpkin thingamy.
I can't believe we're only on track 1 still.
Yeah, we got sidetracked by pumpkins in Dollywood.
Oh God.
Aug knows our brand, man.
Yeah.
All right, track 2. Hey, Annabelle. Track 2 and 3 are really where I saw the Pulp influence.
Interesting. I mean, Annabelle was, I think actually, yeah. What I said earlier about like, you don't, when you're putting an album together, you don't, oh, it needs one of these songs and one of these songs. Annabelle was a sort of conscious decision of like, all these songs are quite long and we just need one that's sort of fun and quick and silly and kind of, again, I was listening to a lot of girl group stuff and like sort of Japanese punk pop, and for some reason that all got thrown in a weird blender, and yeah, it was one of those ones that just sort of came together really, really quickly, and Lily put it out. Like, I think I had one line, it was just like, you know what to do with this line, please take it from here, and just it became.
I feel like the brief. I feel like the brief for the lyrics was obviously, Hey Annabelle is a real story and is based on real events and real people. I don't know how much you want me to say, Alex.
That's fine.
Okay, that'll do. Okay, but yeah, it's about trying to covertly just see how your ex is doing. Just, you know, you obviously want nothing but the best for them. Hope they're doing okay. We parted amicably. We're both grown-ups. But are they miserable? They have to be miserable. Not that I care, but they have to be miserable. So it's a very petty song, and you know, it was a lot. It was a lot of fun to write, and I think there's some good rhymes in it, and it's lots of fun to sing as well. And that little thing that you do on the guitar, the little down, it makes me so happy every single time I hear it because it's so stupid.
I think that, and also the like, it's just. Might be our stupidest song as well as our most spiteful. Like there's the little like down, but there's also just me in the full like I couldn't think of something to do in that bit.
Yeah.
And then it's stuck, and now it's in the song.
Healy also pointed out
that
of
course,
the backing vocals, the little la 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 la, had to sound like the song in School of Rock. So I don't know if you've seen School of Rock, Aug.
Not in a while, but yes, obviously I've seen
it. And obviously, oh, what a film! But yeah, they're kind of almost directly lifted from the little backing vocals at the end of the song that they do in the big Battle of the Bands. So it's a little nods to Jack Black and his, I was going to say gang of merry school kids, but that's probably not a great.
That sounds wrong.
Sounds terrible.
One of my favorite movie scenes actually is the when they're finding the bass player and he's like, you just turn it over and cello.
Cello, you got a bass. And that's how it works. It's that easy.
Yeah, it's a silly, spiteful, short song that I'm very fond of, and I'm sad that we haven't had the chance to play it in front of people yet.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Oh yeah, that hasn't happened yet for a lot of these, huh?
I think we've road tested all but the last 3 that we wrote. So yeah, Annabelle, Lucky Coin, and Girls, we haven't got the chance to play in front of people. But yeah, hopefully soon. But I don't know. I just hope there'll be some, when we do get to PA shows, I'm just looking forward to there being at least, fingers crossed, 2 people willingly in the front row just doing the hand claps in the middle. That'd be validating.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Is there a show booked?
We're working on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really unpredictable. It's hard to know when anything is A, safe, B, confirmable. So we're kind of provisionally beginning to ask venues, but you know, they're obviously torn between being desperate to put shows on and also going, well, if it's too soon, that could be us shut for another 6 months. So it's, you know, we're waiting for them to kind of lead the way before we really book anything.
So you mentioned rhymes you liked. Jumping ahead to the next song, rhyming Carl Sagan with kind of vacant.
Hey.
I thought that would be your segue.
Yes.
That is true professional stuff. I love it.
Yeah, sorry, we'll go on.
No, please.
Weirdly, I don't think that we are the only band to have ever put Carl Sagan into a song. I have a horrible feeling that someone else got there first, but I think we might be the only band to have ever rhymed Carl Sagan with anything. So that's the important milestone for me.
Yeah.
Really. And also, not to toot my own tutor, I also really love watching Interstellar didn't make it better. I was just, it's so forced. It's such a fucking, excuse me, I don't mean to swear, it's such a labored rhyme. But you know, I really, really like rhymes where you can tell someone has sat there for like 2 days going, how can I make this work? It doesn't matter if it's good, it just has to rhyme. So yeah.
There's like a very specific kind of, like, there's a very specific way of doing that you can allow yourself to get away with, because you can do bad rhymes and they will be bad rhymes. You can do bad rhymes and you can let them go for a bit and slap your forehead. Yeah. And then there are other ones, you know, not the old cliche, but like, that are so bad that they are genius.
Is it a New Order song that goes, every minute counts when I'm with you? I think
you're a pig, you should be in a zoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, New Order basically like wrote the book on those kind of rhymes.
Yeah, they suck.
And like in Face Up, is that the same album? On Face Up, he has the line, your eyes was blue, which just is not grammatically correct at all. And you could have very easily been changed.
Yeah. Come on. You've been doing this a long time, guys.
There's another one that I remember from like one of their like recent like comebacky records, and it was like, there's this whole narrative where for some reason he decides to go sailing, and this line, the sea was very rough, it made me feel sick, but I like that kind of stuff, it's arithmetic.
He's not wrong.
I mean, he's not wrong, but you wouldn't have let that fly in one of our songs.
No.
Wouldn't have been a maritime narrative, it would have been space, it would have been, you know.
I'm quite digging maritime and narrative as rhymes, actually.
Oh god.
Oh, that
Album 3 starts here.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, unless the Decemberists got there first.
Oh, possibly, yeah. Well, you know, every sentence is just a song waiting to happen.
When I am with you.
So the title of track 3, I'm starting to think you don't even want to go to space. It's just a brilliant thing to say anyway. Like, when did that come to you? Like,
so it's the song is indirectly about Elon Musk and Grimes.
Indirectly
about Elon Musk and Grimes, or you know, to avoid the wrath of Dogecoin or whatever it is. I don't know how the internet works. I keep referring to it as, you know, a nondescript billionaire Iron Man complex jerk and his pop star girlfriend. But it's about Elon Musk and Grimes and an imagined argument where, because like he's just such a dick. He's so awful, and everything he does is so like just offensively arrogant. Because he's a billionaire, and that's what they're like. But I just had this imagined argument where, you know, he's so obsessed with calling, you know, cave divers pedophiles or getting high on the Joe Rogan podcast and all of this other stuff that really takes away from his stupid mission to be king of space or whatever. And
SNL.
SNL, exactly, with Miley. And Grimes just being like, do you know, I'm starting to think this isn't really about space, is it, Elon? What this is really about is, you know, you being a dickhead. So that was the alternative title, but that wouldn't fit. Yeah, there you go.
We don't write the whole song title on set lists, though.
Yeah, it's just
space.
I remember one gig where we let Nick write the set lists out, and everyone got a different title for space on their set list. I think he got space so that he could remember it. Someone else got Moon Tune. I think I got Wanna Go Space, which I showed it to him and he like recited it to me in like a League of Gentlemen voice. Which,
there you go.
And I can't remember what the third one is, but yeah. So he's.
I like that, like keeping you on your toes.
Exactly.
Don't just write down the name.
No. What are you, amateur? You knew?
I think I once reciprocated. I think I once reciprocated by writing down capos on Nick's set list, which as a drummer he had no use for. He was just perplexed by numbers. But
yeah.
Oh, this one's in 7 now. Okay.
Yeah, put the capo on the snare. See how it goes.
I once saw the Mary Chain, and I'd driven. Like my sister and I were huge Mary Chain fans. On '98 tour, we weren't going to be in Boston where we were living when they were coming around, so we drove down to Baltimore. It was like an 8-hour drive to catch the show, and it was like right before they broke up that first time because the brothers just weren't getting along. They had what key the song was in next to every song on the set list, and William was so drunk he managed to play one like a half step up anyway. It sounded awful. Like, I know feedback and dissonance is their thing, but like when everyone is, you know, in G and he's in G sharp, it was just
I mean, God. I'm sure we've done that sober at some point, but I kind of admire the balls on that. That's you know,
like that few fucks given. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I've had 9 beers. I don't know what a G key is. Let's go.
Yeah, he did. I mean, like a year later, he did release an EP with himself naked on the back cover. So, you know.
You know what? Good for him.
one virgin. But that was a deep cut. No callback. But
it did take me a second.
Yeah, and I'm scared that if anyone listening is going to think that I just called Jim Reed a virgin or something in some kind of weird like. Please cut this, Aug.
Okay.
Great, I gotta ask about medium.
I gotta ask about the intro to Space and the similarities to Do You Remember the First Time?
Oh,
that was not on purpose.
No.
Really? No, that really hadn't occurred to me.
That's an amazing observation. I never thought of that.
Yeah. No, that was.
Damn.
It was just one of those ones where like we had the song, we were like, oh, I need some blibbity bloops because like space and stuff. And I don't even like no one when we were like recording it even said, you don't think this sounds a bit like much like Pulp or anything. It was good.
No, I think we were all sitting there going, man, this sounds like space.
Yeah, that was it. Just more reverb.
Exactly. There's some galactic stuff going on. But yeah, I'm glad that it sounds like You Remember the First Time. That's
one of my favorite Pulp songs. That.
Yeah.
Okay. The Absolute State of Me. I like this one a lot. It's just like a big laid back pop song.
That's one of my favorites, I think.
Yeah, it's loads and loads of fun to play, and Yeah, you're right. I think it's just got such a gorgeously simple big riff, and yeah, it's great. Sorry, I'm just talking crap now.
That was one of the ones that was one of the earliest ones we had as well. I think while Adam was still in the band, we had Cool Girl, Banging Number 4, Space, and State. So yeah, is
this just State on the set list?
Yeah, this is just State on the set list, and no one tries to confuse us with anything else.
No, no one does.
But I think the title came from Adam, because he kept saying, "Oh, the absolute state of this." I was just like, okay, well, let's harness that and make it a Fightmilk thing. What would be the most Fightmilk word to end the absolute state of?
Mice.
Yeah, but then we realized that didn't really work lyrically.
No.
Well, no, you had the whole draft, but it was about cheese, and it seemed gauche.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
It seems like you could bring it back for the with a maritime narrative.
Hey,
what
hey
the
now.
mouse is like at the end, the absolute state at the end of the journey.
Yeah.
I mean, for your, Jazz Odyssey third album.
For your own twisted entertainment. Yeah, I really love this song, and I think it's got my favorite opening lines of any Fightmilk song as well.
Of any?
Yeah, they're horrible. So the opening lines are, "Sometimes I'm so in love I have to go throw up," and I'm, I think, more proud of those than any other opening lines we've got. So
that is good.
Just more
ties into the Aerosmith roller coaster too.
Well, exactly.
Up next, stylistically, there's a bit of change of direction with Girls Don't Want to Have Fun.
Boy.
Not for want of trying.
Yeah, this is a really strange one. Like we mentioned, it took a long time to get it sorted, and it felt like it was just never ever going to work, or that we didn't know how to play it to make it sound nice, because it was just sounding too,
sounded too much like what we wanted it to sound like.
Yeah. It ended up working when we started. I think, well, to be honest, not seeing each other for a really long time and being bored at home and faffing around with different, whether it, faffing around with different demos or different ideas, and just being like, what can we throw at this? It doesn't have to go on the album. How do we make it sound nice if it does? And then, realize that maybe big pop strings and mellotron and stuff like that doesn't necessarily just have to be if you're massive orchestral band. It works really nicely for little kind of gentle pop songs like this, and it sounds so sad.
I think as well, because we hadn't played a show for a while and we didn't know when we were next going to play a show, the idea of doing something that we could really labor over in the studio was quite appealing. Of course, that's come to bite us in the arse now that we've done a pre-recorded live stream launch gig where we're playing the whole record, and we've had to learn how to play, how to play a version of it that would be recognizable to people who've heard the album. But, in terms of putting that across, we're not. I don't know. Every now and again, I wonder, should we just get a keyboard player? I think, if there was one more song like this, if we had one more song like this on the record, I think we would have probably felt like we needed a goddamn keyboard player.
Never say never.
So there's no keyboards on the live version.
Yeah, exactly. It's just all attempting to play 5 different overdub guitar parts at once, sort of thing. Real pedal overdrive, not literally no overdrive pedal. I'm just going into overdrive with all the non-distorty pedals and stuff. It was probably the most labored over song.
Yeah,
it didn't feel like work. It was just I think that was the one we gave ourselves the most license to try stuff and see what stuck. Kind of always try I think because I'm a big record nerd and like a big production nerd, I think just to cover my own ass, I was like, okay, when we're going into the studio, let's have an approach of like, there are no bad ideas, yeah? Because that
there were some.
Most of them were mine. Like I say, it's self-preservation. So, you know, I think, yeah, there were surprisingly few bad ideas that got thrown at that song. Although there was like a big sort of, I seem to remember there was a big like string slide that we did on a mellotron that got mixed out, which I'm still quite sad about. But I think someone said it was ripping off some. I think someone said it sounded too much like the Smashing Pumpkins. So thinking about it, that's probably justified.
Are you guys Pumpkins fans?
Nah.
I am. I just have to hate on them because everyone else does. And again, I just don't.
I realize my most complicated relationship in my life is that with my own feelings toward the Smashing Pumpkins. Because I really like a lot of their songs. At the same time.
Yeah. At the same time, Billy Corgan. Yeah.
If you had to summarize your complex relationship with the Smashing Pumpkins in one sentence, what would it be?
Fair enough.
You make me feel things I don't like feeling from you.
I think we've just found the third album title.
You can have it if there's a song called Maritime Narrative.
Maritime Narrative. Yeah. I mean, that's a perfect reason to have a complex relationship with a band. I respect it.
Yeah. Siamese Dream came out like when I was 17, so it was like perfectly the right age, you know. But moving on. The title, Girls Don't Want to Have Fun, was that there from the beginning? Because it's not a pastiche. Okay. And you don't bring it in until the end of the song, which is...
So it came from, this is really nerdy, but like it came from just watching a video of Phoebe Bridgers and Conor Oberst talk about pop songs. And I'm a big Phoebe Bridgers fan anyway. But she really mumbles, like she's got a terrible mumble, and I think that she went to say, oh, I really like girls just want to have fun, or you know, whatever it was she was saying, but I just heard it as girls don't want to have fun, and I thought, right, this is a contrived way of saying that I ripped off that title. But I just thought it was a good sentiment and like quite sulky, and when I started with the title and thought, right, this is going to be like a silly, funny pastiche song. And then as I was writing it, it just got sadder and sadder and sadder. So maybe that was like Phoebe Bridgers' vengeance for me, you know, accusing her of mumbling or something. But yeah, it didn't turn out how I expected it to at all. I really like the title.
I remember the first draft of that song that we attempted, like, it's totally, I think the lyrics were totally different, the music was totally different, but we had the title. And I think one of us had the idea of like doing a pastiche of the backing vocals from the Cyndi Lauper song at the end, but like they don't wanna.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'm so glad that song had so many different iterations that immediately got away from us doing that.
Yeah, it was a real troubled teen of a song. It had so many, you know, a goth phase, an emo phase, a grunge phase, and then just came out the other side and was depressed like everyone else.
All the different theme parks.
All the different theme parks.
All the different parts of the theme park.
Exactly. Welcome to Emotopia. Yay!
Are you familiar with the how the original was written? What the man was doing?
No.
Apparently, and I think I saw this on like VH1 where they had like the pop-up facts within the video. The man who wrote the original wrote it while taking a bath.
Delightful.
That's absolutely inspirational.
Has forever changed the way I look at it.
I mean, you know, what inspiration strikes when you're covered in suds, I guess, sometimes.
Yeah, I realized too late that the thing about Girls Just Want to Have Fun is that it should have been a Morrissey song, because the melody is so Morrissey-ish.
Yeah, you can really hear him singing it, can't you?
And yet we can never hear him sing it.
Oh dear.
Yes. Utterly terrible.
Oh dear.
So cool girl.
Yeah.
The list. When I'm a poet, I'm a DJ, I'm an artist, I'm amazing. One of my favorite parts of the record, because you get to it immediately. There's no like pretense through a list, and then it's like uncovering, it's no false modesty. It's just yeah.
Just a good rhyme. Another laboured rhyme. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we had a list in a song, but it's really fun. I think it's nice to shout over a big breakdown, and obviously, like on the record, I get to do a proper throaty scream for it at the end, which was loads of fun, and I think hopefully quite upsetting. So, yeah.
The thing I remember about the list is that when we were recording it, like Lily did a first take of that bit, and Keith was like, "Oh, is that like?" Keith, our producer, was like, "Oh, is that what you're singing?" And Lily was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "The bit where you're like, I'm interesting, I'm clever." I'm like, "Yeah, what did you think that I was saying?" And he was like, "I'm into wrestling." So that is now the second take onwards. That became part of the lyric, and that's all Keith's doing.
Yeah. I'm so pleased that he misheard that, because I'm into wrestling and I'm clever and I'll always be a bartender is one of my favorites favorite lines that we've got. So it's good.
That is also like oldest. Like, there was a point where if we'd been asked, we would have like tried to record that for the first album.
Yeah.
We couldn't quite wrangle it time-wise. Like, it's that old of a song. We've just played it every single gig since we wrote it. So I think as much catharsis in just finally getting to put it out in the world.
Yeah.
I
also really like that when we do play it, like on the record, like Healy and Nick and Alex all do backing vocals, and they're all doing the "tell your friends" bit at the end, which is really quite angelic on the record. But usually by the end of the song live, we're all so knackered that it's just "tell your friends." It sounds so desperate and frightening. Tell your friends, please. It's good.
Well, we covered Bagger number 4, unless you have anything else you want to add about that one.
I hope Japandroids don't sue us.
Why would they sue? Does it sound like Japandroids?
It sounds so much like Japandroids, and not on purpose. It just does. I think Nick really was like, "You think we can get away with this?"
Oh,
that
kind of trebly guitar thing at the start.
Yeah, and then Nick with the big drums. I don't know why I felt the need to do big drum miming on a podcast.
The international symbol for big drums.
Yeah, Nicky with the big drums.
Nicky with the big drum. All easily observed via the audio medium.
Yeah.
But If You Had a Sister is one of my favorites on the record. Again, it's stylistically, it's more in the girls don't want to have fun territory than the rest.
Oh, thank you. It felt like a real change. It felt like a real departure when we worked on it together for the first time. It was like, oh, okay, we're not just doing like super fast, distorted, punky songs now. Like, oh, we're fancy.
That was the first song that we tried writing. I think it was in the first practice we had with Healy. We like hammered that song together, and there was a part of me that was really worried that Healy was going to be like, "This is not the band I signed up to play bass for." So obviously they put their stamp on it by just like covering it in like sick ass Cure bass.
Exactly, like the bass makes that song.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
I think it might be like there are probably other Fightmilk songs I like more. But I'm a stickler for like having like a favorite and a best, and I do think If You Had a Sister is our best song. And I'm not just saying that because I get like a minute long guitar solo.
Yeah, you get two completely different guitar solos back to back. How many guitarists can say that? Do you know how lucky you are?
I'm not even that pushy about
boy.
it. I hate guitar solos.
Sure.
I did notice that there are, well, not that you hate them, but that they're not omnipresent.
Yeah.
It wasn't a concerted effort or anything. I think it's one of those, when we ended up like doing the recording, I think I was probably trying to be more mindful of like, I think there was a point at which I realized that there are barely any songs where I'm like playing chords. I'm just like playing sort of melodic bits, and then sort of realizing, trying to sort of build up. This sounds really like wanky and producery, but like, you know, like trying to build up like more of a trying to build up more of a like, you know, textural, and like, rather than just like, oh, I'm gonna play this like solo for the sake of it. Like, I really hate sort of fiddly diddly type solos, and all the guitar players I like, with maybe one or two exceptions, are sort of either like scrunky noise sort of indie rock people, or it's like fully melodic solo people. And I don't think there aren't that many of our songs where I've managed to get away with just like making noise for the sake of it. I think maybe Lucy on the first album, because I couldn't think of anything to do in that solo.
Summer Crush.
No, but that you like putted me into that. You were just like, fucking shred, shred. Do it again.
You made me sound like Lemmy.
Do you shout all your production advice?
It's the only one I know how.
Glass between the control room and the live room is very thick, Aug, and I do not play with headphones.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
How
so
do you
like,
feel about Jay Mascis from your description of guitar players you like? Yeah.
Yeah, love.
He seems to be the combo of what you're.
I think that him. I mean, Neil Young. I spent a lot of lockdown listening to Neil Young because it's very good sort of I'm stuck in a place music, and you can really climb the wall to all of his records. I don't know. I think like Rivers Cuomo to some degree does the like guitar solos you can whistle thing. That's like the main thing. I'm always about like guitar solos that are sort of hooked in and of themselves, and I think that, yeah, Lister was trying to do as much of that as possible, and also do the trick of part of the guitar solo with just the vocal melody.
Yeah, which is
also always fun.
Yeah,
I ran out of ideas by that point. You know.
Yeah.
Which I remember you really wanted to get away from that melody when we were writing it.
Yeah, it sounded a bit Beatlesy to me, like a bit Flower People. But I think it kind of, I don't know, maybe the rest of the song is so sinister that kind of weird little bouncy bit kind of works, but it's a weird one. It sounds a little, yeah. I think it does work, but it does sound a bit out of place sometimes to me.
Like the melody, the second line of the chorus where the melody goes is one of my favorite bits of the record. It was unexpected. There's one part right before you're talking about. So I'm glad you didn't change
it. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it.
We might not be here today.
Yeah.
Lyrically.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Oh, so it kind of came from noticing that, like, prior to lockdown, but then weirdly, like I think around the start of lockdown, because I think maybe Netflix and Amazon Prime and all the other like video streaming sites, like, shit, we need to keep people entertained. There was just so much stuff about serial killers that appeared at once, and like, you know, don't get me wrong, I've got a healthy morbid curiosity, and I like to spend hours on the internet going down, you know, dark holes, whatever, but it just felt relentless, and it felt like, you know, there was a revisiting of Jack the Ripper, and then let's do the Ted Bundy tapes, and here's Making of a Murderer, and like it just felt I'm being bombarded on all sides, not just by serial killers, but like serial killers who brutalize women in such a way that, like, to read about it or even to hear about it is really very, like, it's hard, you know, it's very difficult, and it hits personally in quite a big way. And yet it's just kind of treated as this fun bit of pop culture of like, oh, look how grisly this guy was, look at these awful things he did to these women, but no one can ever remember any of the victims' names of Ted Bundy. And you know, it's kind of, that's not to say it's about serial killers, but it's not. But but it is kind of about how certainly, like, when men do evil things, it's always somehow women's fault. You know, it's for example, Ted Bundy didn't have a good relationship with his mum, or was addicted to pornography and looking at naked women. Ed Kemper had a terrible relationship with his mum, and it's all of these women who then end up dead, and it's their responsibility and their fault that men end up committing these atrocities. And there was an interesting kind of phenomenon around, I think, when Ted Bundy died, or you know, when Ted Bundy was, you know, killed, and he had quite a fan base and a lot of people kind of sympathizing with him, going, oh well, you know, it was a lack of positive female influence in his life, and if he'd had a sister he might not have turned out this way. And it's like, you're now inventing a woman that doesn't exist as a reason to blame him, or as a reason to excuse him and say, oh no, he was just messed up, you know, he was just he didn't have like the woman to save him or whatever. And it's basically about that. It's about how, you know, the casual misogyny of like asking women to save the evil men before they get murdered by them is just really harmful. And like, you know, seeing it in pop culture, seeing people watching the Ted Bundy tapes or obsessing over serial killers, it's just like, come on, man, it like, it's hard, it hurts. So yeah, it's kind of about that. Women getting blamed for shit they didn't do, in a nutshell. I'm going to get off my soapbox now because that was quite a rant.
Well, it's a good rant, though.
Oh, hey, thanks.
I'm with you on this.
Yeah.
The last two songs, I think, are my favorite, and they kind of remind me of, they're kind of like the overs of this album, in that they seem really like unabashedly positive. And Over and Overbite share the same letters.
I think I was mindful of that at the time.
So much today.
Yeah.
That just hit me like an hour ago, and I was like, wow, because I thought maybe was like the over of this album, because it's really, you know, a positive song, or like, you know, and then I was like, but wait, Overbite, the word's right there.
Monkey Island.
Monkey tennis. Monkey tennis.
I had not made that connection, Aug. I'm glad you did.
That's what I'm here for.
I'm gonna claim that as my own now.
All right.
So.
I think we should do them back to back at a show sometime.
Yeah.
Like Over and Overbite.
Over and over again.
And then a hot chip cover.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Which song are we up to?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Which I seem to remember we tried to do in the first practice with Healy again as well, and then we tabled it, and then I think you got really anxious that we were going to table it forever, and it was just because we had the big.
Well, I think it felt like a funny one because it felt more sincere than we usually could get away with, and you know, it's got a very different opening to other Fightmilk songs. You know, it's just me and an acoustic, and that I'm used to shouting and being loud and trying to be heard over guitars, so having this very quiet introduction was quite uncomfortable in a way. But I was also really worried because after I wrote it, I realized, oh no, this sounds just like I Will Follow You Into the Dark. I'm gonna get sued, but I think, oh, thank God. Yeah, I was just worried that melodically and in terms of chords, it just sounded too similar, but I'm glad that
I did not pick up.
You did not think that. Well, that means it's okay. But yeah, it is a very kind of, you know, heart on sleeve, quite emotional, sincere, earnest song, which, you know, we tend to deal in like sarcasm and being a bit pissy. Yeah. Oh, really?
Weird though, because I think if you take the lyrics off, you could like, or maybe it's just because I've heard this song so many times at this point, like you could kind of hear it as a sort of us taking the piss out of power ballads musically. Like it hits all of the buttons of like power balladry
without having a key change.
No key change, but like you've got an acoustic
face power ballads.
Suck it. You've got like acoustic opening and then full band singing the same verse that you were singing, you know, the same verse again, like big sort of lighters in the air of guitar bits. Big like, I remember we did the first live stream we did like a Facebook Live thing. We managed to somehow wrangle the sound to be like a full band thing. It just about worked audio wise. That was one of the first. It was maybe like the third or fourth time we'd played, maybe. And I watched it back afterwards, and you know how on Facebook Live the comments come up as you're watching a video back. When it got to like when everything kicks in, and maybe someone had just commented 90s chord. Like, bang. I was like, my work here is done.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
Was this the show with the spacesuits?
That was the spacesuits. Yeah,
I saw that one. Yeah. But
that was so much fun.
That was such a weird time because like everything had just sort of.
Yeah, I think that.
Terrifying.
I think here that was literally the week that people were panic buying stuff, because I remember coming home from that performance and being like, yeah, we've just done a gig. It might be our last gig, but we don't know. And I went to the shop to just like get some stuff for dinner, and there was nothing. So I came out with some olives and a bar of chocolate, and that was my dinner. So, you know, that it kind of it did go downhill from there, obviously, but that was a very, very strange night.
I think the day after the space launch, I went to visit my parents because I didn't know how long it would be before I got to see them again. I packed for a couple nights, and 2 days into me being there, it was full lockdown, and I ended up staying for 2 months with 2 changes of clothes. And unfortunately, a lot of clothes that I don't wear that were also in my like bedroom at home wardrobe, but still like not what I had anticipated my next 2 months of living being. So yeah, weird. It's good that last peak is captured on video forever. Yeah. And we're all wearing masks, so we're ahead, you know, face helmets, so we're ahead of the curve in that respect, maybe.
Yeah, I remember I had just left LA because I didn't have anywhere to live, and Idaho was the state that really hadn't been hit, and I could get to like a day's drive. So I'd never been anywhere in the Northwest before, and I just end up in Twin Falls while the world is collapsing, and then you guys have this thing. I remember sitting down and watching, like, is this what it's going to be like from now on? And it was like a really pleasant, like half hour or whatever, but in the midst of all this, just complete panic.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. I mean, we were probably, I don't want to say that we really set the standard for virtual gigs for the next year or so, but
not saying that.
No, not saying that. No. But it was, yeah, we had an amazing launch planned for that single. Like, we had this great venue called the Victoria booked, and we had some brilliant support bands. You know, we're gonna obviously still come on stage to the Portsmouth Symphonia doing 2001, whatever it is. Thus Sprach Zarathustra, sorry.
I remember when you came up with the idea for us doing that. I think it was like the end of 2019. And you were like, once we knew that Space was going to be the single, you were like, lads, I've got an idea. Nick, hook my phone up to the car speaker. We know what our intro music is.
Yeah.
And I think it got to like the first.
Yeah, he just died, basically.
I think Nick had to pull over because he was crying, laughing, and driving.
Yeah, that's good. But yeah, we were very, very gutted not to be able to do that gig. But if I'm totally honest, like I watched that performance back because I missed gigs quite recently, and I think we did all right. I think we did okay, considering that like
I think
it was cobbled together.
Excitement absolutely like supersedes the fear. Whereas if we'd somehow managed to do it the next week, we would have been too scared to play good.
Definitely, yeah.
Basically. Yeah, that I think I watched that a lot during like the first lockdown as well, because I was missing the guys.
Remember gigs? I remember gigs. You kids are too young.
Sure, Nana, let's get you home. Also, the other thing I really like about Maybe that I only realized about a month ago is that that song does not rhyme.
Yeah, no rhymes. Not one rhyme.
That's how you know that Lily really means it.
I didn't notice.
No rhymes.
Well, every day's a school day, Aug. Not all the songs rhyme. You know. Sometimes we can do highbrow as well.
Yeah.
Poetic license. Yeah, I didn't really notice that either. I don't think it was conscious. I wasn't like, right, this isn't going to rhyme today. I'm going to do a song that doesn't rhyme. But
it wasn't like, I'm genuinely asking this, like now, bandmate to bandmate, like you didn't like write it as like a block of prose or anything. It was like you wrote it as a lyric.
No, it just, you know, just felt right. That's all I got. I kind of wanted to reclaim the subject matter of There Is a Light That Never Goes Out a little bit. So, you know, fancying someone in a car, I guess. If you want to reduce.
Are in that song?
Yeah. Read the lyrics, Alex. They don't rhyme.
But they don't rhyme. There's nothing to hang on to.
No, it's like, how am I supposed to remember it if it doesn't rhyme? Anyway.
And we're at the end of the album. Overbite.
Yeah.
And
I love that one.
Yeah.
That is just a very fun, silly. I remember coming up with the music, and it started with like a weird sort of. Like, I remember the first demo I ever sent Lily of that started with like a weird jangly riff that sort of sounded like "I'll Be There For You." And I'm really glad that when Lily sent me back a version with lyrics, that had been cut. Because in retrospect, then I was.
We're talking about Bon Jovi's "I'll Be There For You."
Sadly not.
Sure.
No. Nick would have been happy with that.
Yeah.
Like, won Bon Jovi his first gig?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. Man loves Bon Jovi, I think.
I'm down with that. I love that New Jersey album. No, I like that New Jersey album. It's definitely my favorite Bon Jovi record. I like it better than Slippery When Wet. I mean, if anyone, at the reference.
If anyone deserves a theme park, it's John Bon Jovi.
That point.
I believe Young Southpaw has addressed this, that he should have a water park because of Slippery When Wet.
Of course.
Young Southpaw's so smart. You're so ahead of the curve with Rockstar theme parks.
Hopefully, I'll get a cut of it, you know.
Yeah, please, if you could ask him, that'd be great.
Seems like a charitable man.
Yeah.
The other thing I remember about Overbite is that there was a line. I think the line in the second verse, "You don't have to smile if you don't want to." That came on the day you did the final vocal. There was a lyric. I pitched the line, was it like "Take the orthodontist off your speed dial," which I realize in hindsight is not a good line. However, I also remember that when you went in to do the guide vocal, you were like, "I'm not singing that." And I'm like, "Okay, fair enough. What are you going to sing?" And you were like, "I'm not telling you." And I had to go home for some reason. So the next morning I came into the studio and I was like, I think I made a point of coming in early so I could hear what happened on Overbite. And I said, like, "Can you play Overbite?" And it got to that line and you just went, "Na na 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 na," just did gibberish noises. And I'm really I really hope we still have an MP3 of a monitor mix with it on, because I want to leak it and somehow make a fortune off it. by leaking it, which is counterintuitive.
I mean, it might have been gibberish to you.
my gibberish means something, man.
Yeah, right. I'm an artist.
That's the thing, though. That the line, like the last minute line that you came up with, is like the linchpin line of that song.
Oh, thanks.
Fucker.
Hey, that's nice. Yeah, I love Overbite so much, and it is a kind of perfect storm of so many different songs that we all love. So it's got like, you know, an enormous emo sounding "I'm Not Okay" bit in the breakdown, and it's also got like a shimmery Beach Boys bit, and just a great big chorus and a fantastic call and response. And you know, I think that's our best song. Not my favorite, but I think that's our best song.
Interesting. You're playing my metrics at my game and choosing a different song.
Yeah. Hey. But also, yeah, it was obviously. I don't know if you've seen the video by John O'Gans. That he did this gorgeous animated video starring a grumpy little vampire who lives in a theme park. Here we are again, and this little character that just gets besotted with him. And it's the cutest video, and it just works so well. It's these gorgeous kind of vintage Halloween designs, and just it's quite literal in a way to the lyrics of the song.
I missed this video completely.
Oh really?
Oh man, you're in for a treat.
Yeah, you're gonna love it. It's so good. But yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, the video just fits the song perfectly, and the song itself is, you know, kind of about, you know, being insecure about your teeth, which is I think a universal concern for us Brits. But yeah, I think it harks back to Lucky Coin a little bit, and just throwing off a lot of insecurity and self-doubt, and you know, being perfect as you are, and self-acceptance, and all that good hippie shit. You know.
There isn't enough dentistry in pop music, I don't think.
I've always thought so.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the only other one I can think of off the top of my head is Panic Pocket Front Teeth, which I'm really mainly just doing to shout out Panic Pocket, who are one of my favorite bands in the world, and they need to start making songs again. I should go downstairs and tell my partner, who is one half of Panic Pocket, to do that, because they're great.
Yeah, if you could do Bottom Teeth next.
Bottom teeth, cardboard box.
Exactly.
It'd just be like. Also, if like, while briefly talking about Overbite, I feel obliged to shout out my friend Miles, who gave us some invaluable sequencing suggestions, and it was his idea to stick Overbite at the end, because I was really, really stubborn about how, because it opens like all a cappella, I was like, that should be on the start of a side. That would sound really cool if you dropped the needle on it. And he was just like, nah, this is the last song on the record. This is the end of the night. The glitter cannons are going off. Like, that last chorus kicks in, and you find all your mates in the club, and you're hugging, and you're sweaty, and you're covered in beer, and
you're shouting about teeth.
Yeah. Which people don't do enough.
No. Absolutely.
I mean, to say nothing of the fact we've also been a year without hugging all your mates and dancing and jumping up and down in the club. So, you know, I think hopefully that, like, putting that song last not only honors the expertise of my friend Miles in terms of all things sequencing, but also will be a positive talisman for things to come, when we can all jump up and down and sing about teeth. A big group of people. And confetti cannons go off, and it's really cool.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
Yeah.
I did think that as well, that it wasn't an obvious choice to put it last, but it definitely works in that position. Like, yeah, that's where it should be. But I wouldn't have thought that had it not been there.
Yeah, it didn't occur to any of us that that's where it belonged at all.
I forget who, like, forget who talked about it, but I remember someone talking about sequencing albums in like doing a like end theme of the movie and then the closing credits song. Like,
oh yeah,
I feel like it's kind of that approach as well, because I think maybe it's like the big finale scene, and then you have the like interlude, and then like Overbite's almost like you've got the sort of soundtracking the fun bloopers over the end credits kind of thing.
I like that.
Yeah.
You mentioned dropping the needle on it. You guys are doing vinyl.
Oh yeah. I think a slight delay on it because of, you know, the world.
yeah, it's killing us. Like it's taken such a long time to even get to this point, and now just to have it like pushed a little bit further out of reach is like, really?
It's still coming out. It's still coming out when we're planning to have it out. It's just that the actual records are going to be slightly pushed back. But
yeah, exactly.
And there's different options for the vinyl, right? Color wise.
Yeah, so we've got two options. So Marble Smoke is the kind of official one, and that's this really gorgeous black and grey and kind of cream coloured, just woo, it's like a ghost. It looks really cool on the vinyl. And then the other option is Eco
It's like
Vinyl.
Dollywood on Halloween.
It's like Dollywood on Halloween, exactly. That's really what we were going for. And the other one is Eco Vinyl, and Eco Vinyl is where they take a load of runoff different vinyl colors from other runs of other records, and they just kind of mix it all together. So it's less waste. I didn't realize this, but vinyl is massively harmful to the environment and is really toxic when you dispose of it. So it uses up all the leftover little bits of vinyl, and you can either get, it's really kind of luck of the draw in terms of how they mix it, but everyone is completely unique. It just means that you could get like a gorgeous like turquoisey blue color thing, or it could just be like the color of mud. We just don't know.
You roll the dice.
You roll the dice. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, we were really hoping that one person would just pre-order all of the Lucky Dip vinyl, thinking it was some kind of tombola. But sadly, that did not come to pass, and unfortunately, just like lots of different people are ordering them. So, you know, I guess we'll have to canvas them all for photos and try and make content out of it, I guess.
Put a golden ticket in one of them, and then you get to go to whatever band has done a chocolate factory theme park. I don't know. Who would that be?
That's really taking things up a notch. Who would that be?
It is.
I like that it's not even a ticket to one of our shows. It's just like an extremely like 5 steps ahead of thinking.
Yeah. People aren't interested in gigs anymore. They just want to go to theme parks and chocolate factories.
Yeah.
Gotta get with the times.
Yeah, fair enough. I think our next record is going to be a chocolate factory.
Hell yeah.
You heard it here first.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, me too.
If anyone out there listening knows or has a chocolate factory guy that they can get us in with, so we can actually make this happen.
Oh, Keith will know someone.
Yeah.
Keith will know. Well, he'll be like, oh yeah, Charlie Chocolate Factory. Yeah. Little Charlie Chocolate Factory.
Exactly. No songs, just chocolate. Yeah.
Safe writing, I guess.
Merch-wise, you guys have koozies as well.
Yeah. I didn't know what a koozie was. And I didn't know I needed one until we got some. And now
I think
you can't live without them.
can't live with that.
Aside of laying down sick bass riffs and awesome backing vocals, Healy's greatest contribution to this band has been like helping us up our merch game. Like the whole homeware range that we've inadvertently sort of wound up doing.
Who is Lucky Douglas?
So Lucky Douglas. So I have a friend called Luke Douglas, who I've known for a long time, since we were both at university together, and he is maybe our biggest supporter. He's like a football mum, just with how dedicated he is to being like, you know, listen to Fightmilk, and Fightmilk have done this cool thing, and like, you know, making sure that we have packed lunches whenever we go on tour or whatever. Like, he's that guy. He's just a very, very good friend and a very, very loyal fan of the band. But at university, he was affectionately known as Lucky Douglas. So we thought a fitting thank you and a tribute to him would be to represent him in the form of a ridiculously muscular otter, and stick him on a t-shirt. And I think he's happy, or he's offended. I don't know.
we also didn't actually tell him we were going to do this, I don't think.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Like, it was literally, we did it, and then I think we may have sent him a message tied in with announcing the record, which is like, oh yeah, you might want to just take a look at what's on the merch, because that's you. He was fine with it, thank God, because otherwise it would have been a really expensive waste of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Fortunately, all good.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the whole otter aspect of it?
It was the part he was happiest with, I think.
Oh, good, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's
who doesn't love otters?
Very, very much, identifies with otters and as an otter. So, I think it's far and away the best animal avatar we could have given him. And like, you wouldn't want to be a shrew or something.
No.
Or a capybara.
All the taming involved.
All the taming. You just can't tame a damn shrew.
Can't tame a damn shrew down.
Exactly. But no, I think, and everyone loves an otter. I can't think of a single bad thing about them.
Especially an otter sporting a big foam finger.
Exactly, with like the pecs of Popeye.
Oof.
Oof.
Off otter.
Damn.
Off ass otter.
Otter just won't quit.
I think Lucky Douglas might have to make his own solo album.
I hope so. Yeah, or at least
that.
or at least his own dance.
Charity single.
He totally needs his own dance with the pecs of Popeye.
Exactly, it's just going to be a little peck twitch.
We'll consult with him.
We'll see what you can do. Yeah,
I'm sure his choreography game is as strong as his foam finger game.
I'm sure.
Excellent. So that's all my questions. You guys got anything else you want to add?
Not beyond plugging, I don't think.
So
we peaked with otters.
Yeah. When is this going out, Aug?
Probably the 17th. Not this Monday, but next Monday. So
okay, cool.
Right all after right, the album.
We can probably talk about the video then.
I already did talk about the video earlier.
What, briefly. The live one? Oh,
I didn't plug it, but I acknowledged its existence.
Oh.
Okay, well, we can have a go at plugging it professionally.
Have a go.
Okay, can we plug something? Okay, we have something to plug. Because we didn't get to do a proper album launch gig for this album that we've been so excited about putting out for a million years. We asked our very good friends at a venue called Paper Dress Vintage if they wouldn't mind us putting on a virtual gig. So we turned up, it got filmed, there's a smoke machine, there's
costume
changes, there's backstage bullshit. It was a lot of fun, and we put a lot of work into it, and hopefully, even though it is still a virtual gig and you do have to watch it on your computer or tablet or mobile platform of choice,
or smart TV,
yeah, you can watch it on a smart TV. So all being well, we are plugging this video to go up on the 21st of May on our Bandcamp, and you can find our Bandcamp at fightmilkisaband.bandcamp.com, where you can watch us gurn into a microphone, and hopefully we don't sound like a band who haven't really played together for over a year, but we'll let you be the judge of that.
And if you do hear the live stream and think it'd be really great if these songs could have been played with a little more care and attention, then you might enjoy the album, which we are playing songs off, and only songs off. I'm not gonna spoil the surprise. There's no surprise on it. We're just playing the album. It's good. The album is called Contender. that'll be out by the time you hear this. We've already gone through.
Out? What date's it out?
3 days ago.
What date was it
right.
out?
We're in the future now. Pretend.
Oh, we're in the future.
I'm astral projecting for the sake of plugging accurately. It's out the 14th.
It was out on the 14th.
On the 14th. It was out on the 14th.
Like that New Order song grammar.
And aside from the fancy pants vinyl editions you can also order it on compact disc. You can download it, and it will be available on tape if you have a tape deck that has a CD capability as well, and you play it and tape it off the CD. You can get it on tape that you made yourself, and that's it. We don't care. We don't care that home taping is getting music. You can tape our album. It's fine. Not the first one. You can only tape the new one.
Only permission.
The new one.
For Contender.
Yeah.
Legally.
Yeah, that's it. Legally. This is binding. And is that it for things to? I mean, we don't have any gigs apart from the digital virtual live stream one.
And at the Bandcamp, there's a bunch of merch, including koozies, which is exciting.
Including koozies.
Hey, and can I talk about koozies for a second? Because I didn't know what a koozie was until very recently, as I've mentioned. Sometimes when I'm out and about, I'm drinking a fizzy pop and my hand gets cold because and I think to myself, what I really need is like a little sheath for this can. And that's just what a koozie is. It keeps your can cozy in your cozy can koozie.
Cozy can koozie, wow.
It's a cozy can koozie.
My favorite member of Throbbing
Gristle. Your beer cold. I'm just overexcited that we've got new merch, and it's merch you can put a beer in.
I mean, we've already had merch you can put a tea in, and then merch you can fry up the merch you can put the tea in. So it's just nice to have merch you can put a beer in.
Yeah.
Next we'll have our own like craft beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the chocolate theme park. This is going to be amazing.
Yay.
Oh, it all ties together.
It all comes back. That's
Fightmilk chocolate fountains. It's coming.
Oh God.
There we go. Tie in with the album 3 that will come out as a chocolate factory.